All right. Well, thank you all for joining our web conference today. My name is Josh Loisel, and today we'll be talking about failure modes, effects analysis, and more specifically, methods and ways that we can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of that document. So, I suppose just before we get started, a little bit about me, so you know who you're speaking with. Again, my name is Josh Loisel. I'm the Director of Engineering at QA Assistant. My background is in electrical engineering. That's what I got my degree. But I've spent much of my career as a quality engineer. So I've been both a supplier quality engineer and a corporate quality engineer. And so today I'm going to be suppose speaking with you from my personal experience um, with creating those documents, managing those documents, and also from working with other customers who have had similar experiences. Just I suppose a little bit of background about the discussion and why we're meeting today. In terms of uh, you know our modern goals that we need to achieve. We have shorter development cycles and tighter budgets. We also have to meet more stringent documentation requirements. So, in addition to having the tighter timeframes, we have to do more documentation work around that, and that can be very complex and verbose and quite frankly confusing. And I suppose that's where efficient FMEA is most effective and most important. FMEA studies are proven methods for improving products and processes. So FMEAs, by definition, they help to identify potential failure modes and causes of those failures. But not only that, they help the team brainstorm methods to control or reduce those causes and improve those detections. Also, FMEAs are great for reducing engineering workload. For example, if we're able to prevent issues from happening or prevent these causes from taking place, our engineers can focus then on the next products that are coming through, the next engineering tasks. Um, FMEAs are great for improving machine and resource availability as well. If we're able to again mitigate these risks in advance, that means that we'll have less rework and less downtime for our machines, which allows us to put or have more throughput for our processes. And FMEAs can also significantly reduce cost and improve productivity. Um, Obviously, higher yield will save material costs and also human resources spent on failures that happen from an operator's perspective as well as from the likes of engineering, from an engineering uh, design review to reliability engineering, failure analysis, and that. Uh, FMEA sometimes have a bad rapport in the sense that uh, there's sometimes a lot of confusion about FMEAs. Lack of clarity and structure. What is an FMEA? What do we include in our FMEAs? You know, what are they actually for, and what type of information goes into them? Also, from an engineering perspective, previous experiences could affect the team's outlook on an FMEA. For example, a lot of time sometimes is wasted in how the FMEA is developed, and engineering time is so valuable that when you're wasting time, for example, trying to do research in a group environment, or um, maybe if you're using, say, a spreadsheet application, trying to merge cells or insert new cells and stuff like that, that can be very tedious and time consuming, and not seen as a value added um, system as well. The other cause for misconception is sometimes FMEAs are grouped with other required documents. They're seen as just another requirement or an added documentation need, and not seen for the value that they could actually contribute to a product or process. And when you group them with other requirements, they're often conducted retrospectively in terms of, they might be, you might be running a process for several months before a customer requires this type of documentation, and the team goes back and reviews it and says, okay, these are, the problems that we have identified. Um, when we do conduct FMEAs retrospectively like that, they're really not productive in the sense that they really only highlight the problems that we've faced and it can be uh, not very good for morale as well, as not being used for what FMEAs are intended for in terms of preventing failures and getting us to market sooner. So today we're going to talk about ways to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of FMEA studies. Just a little bit of background as well, if you'd like to read more about this. This discussion here today is a follow-on of a white paper that we released last year, which covers a lot of the topics that we'll talk about today. Today I'm hoping to give a bit more insight and a bit more examples, but there are some examples in that white paper, and certainly some of the ideas that we'll talk about today are covered in that white paper. The white paper is available for free from our website, so if you go to our website, qaassistant.com, you can request a white paper there. So for today, we'll talk about why perform FMEAs. We'll talk about the benefits of conducting FMEA studies, but then we'll also address the challenges that are created by that lack of clarity, and we'll talk specifically about planning, defining the scope of the study. What do we actually include in these documents? What do we need? Can we do family level FMEAs, for example? What are family level FMEAs? So we'll talk about that today. Identifying the team as well. It's important to ensure that we have the right people available for our team, and assessing that, who should be part of the team can be challenging sometimes. So we'll talk about that today. Structuring the approach of the document creation process itself, and managing our time, and those are one and the same. And we'll talk about two different approaches. Both are structured, but one of which might be more efficient for creating FMEAs. And we'll talk about both anyways during today's call. We'll talk about how to leverage existing knowledge and the benefits that brings. We'll also talk about the importance of continuous improvement and action follow-up. And then we'll address some additional post-study challenges that might be faced in terms of, once you create an FMEA, there are some additional challenges that we face at that time. So we'll talk about those and how to address them. We'll talk about meeting the challenges through efficiency, structure, and automation. More specifically, I suppose, from a software point of view, we'll talk about using spreadsheets and how that might affect the results of your FMEA, and also we'll discuss a preferred solution, which would be a dedicated